All right, all right. Greetings, greetings. Good afternoon, good day, good evening. Peace and blessings, Haki Ami, the Success Scholar. Thank you for tuning in, listening in. Man, we got a lot going on. Hope you all have been checking out our recent broadcast, but we have another interview. I wanted to get just a couple minutes in for I go on a busy week over the next few days. But I have my brother Not T on the line. Not T. Let me pronounce his last name. McCube and MCube. MCube.
So it's Nudo.
Okay. Uh, let me. Can you get closer to the mic, brother? Let me do a mic check.
Yeah, it's Nudo.
Okay. All right. Let me make sure my volume is up. Am I sounding good?
Yeah,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay. All right. That's
Okay.
better. All right. Great. Yeah. Well, let me just introduce, your work, and I appreciate you, joining us on such short notice. But this brother, we're working to have this amazing brother. He came to our leadership retreat where we spent a few days working with some young people. We did a 1 week leadership training, Thai summer learning training, and he came down and was working with some of the young people. And so, tentatively, we would like to be able to have this, have our Artisan Conference, 2022 Artisan Conference, and he's been invited as a speaker. So we wanted to, just really get to know him, and for the listening audience that's listening, and many of your friends, brother, and I'll send you this later, and many of my people that I know may be very interested. But as I mentioned in the bio or on the bottom, that you see that he's from South Africa, and he's currently a restorative justice. He works in the space of restorative justice in DC, coordinator, as well as bridging the communications gap between uh, criminal justice system, etc. But he has worked in areas of education, dance, health, and wellness, and he's taught and toured all over the world, Africa, Europe, and the USA, as an educator and professor as well. So he's into the dance space, and so we definitely looking forward to experiencing that tentatively I'm sorry, I was about to say Tanzania, but in Kenya. But and tentatively, he's worked in South Carolina. We just had the Gullah Geechee Nation on a little earlier today. So thank you, brother, for joining me. You have a extensive bio, but people can learn more, of course, about that. And I'll keep your bio up here in a second. But so coming from South Africa, well, first, when did you? I mean, were you raised in South Africa, or how
Mhm.
long you been here?
Yeah, I was born in South Africa, and I left South Africa um uh when was it? 2000, because I got a
Okay.
scholarship. Yeah, I got a scholarship to go study in the UK. Um, that's where I got my master's from. So since then, I graduated. I was in London for the next coming years, and then I left there to move to the States. I've been in the States now going since 2004. I've been here since 2004.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So you went to London first. You spent like a few years there studying. What were
Right.
you studying there?
So my major was dance. So I was doing dance and research. So it was mostly predominantly the figuring out how dance can be a tool that we can use when it comes to when we talk about social values and morals and how people can connect as individuals, and talk about the therapy of art and how dance can be an underlining, tool that we can use to connect communities. So of course, I mean, I
Mm,
was not only doing the research, I was also performing and choreographing and creating works, and I was teaching at different residencies while I was in London, Germany, Netherlands, Portugal, Greece. I mean, you can name all the different European countries that I work I worked at. Um, and then of course, moving to America, um, I was an adjunct professor at one of the colleges in South Carolina, Columbia College, and then I taught as well in Florence. And then I was teaching at the military base at Fort Jackson. So I was teaching the military. It was a part of their CEs. So I was using history and anthropology of dance. So how do we incorporate dance in the within the criminal system, and then the military? How does that play a part? Again, everything boils down to the social aspect of it. So how do we use dance as a social tool to connect individuals? And I mean, if you don't mind to expand, if I can expand on that, Mr. Hakeem,
mm-hmm,
we have seen how uh, with the protest, when there's a protest, people they what? They chant, they dance, and then that is a form of people coming together because dance brings people together. When there is a celebration, people what? They dance. When there is a death, some people celebrate when there is a death. And then everything that we do in life, there is a dance. If you watch the animals they have their own ways of dancing. So dance is a
mm,
very significant thing in life, and then not only as a dance, but it also embeds in the culture. So what kind of culture are we coming from, and how do we connect culture to social dances, cultural dances, there's ritual dances. So I'm saying this to say, uh, my form of the work that I do, and then now that I'm doing restorative justice, and I'm reconnecting again from where I'm coming from, from sitting around with the elders, watching the elders having to deal with situations, whether there is a crime or somebody has created harm in the community. How do they restore? And currently I work with the DC government. I'm the restorative justice coordinator, and it's a different ball game because you're dealing with the criminal justice where they're pretty much saying like, lock up everybody, and where there's a petty crime, a kid goes and steals a 7-Eleven, they get locked up. Truancy, they get locked up. The kid runs away from home, they get locked up. So how do we then reconnect again? The accountability, how does it come into play? So long story short, about how I got here and what I do. So dance has always been the um, key drive. I mean, the drive for me to venture into different things and to venture into different communities and meeting different people, collaborate with different entities, different stakeholders within around the world. So yeah, that's pretty much um, my journey, and of course there's a whole lot of other facets within, I mean, I just turned 46 years old, and in my 46 years, I was looking at yesterday, I was like, wow, I have actually been blessed to have met and crossed paths with so many people, and like now with Thai Institute, meeting you and Sister Kim, and finding that there's the same voice, that voice of change. What is it that we're looking for, and what is it that we need, and then what needs to happen for us to 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 find that outcome. And then all it boils down to is conversation and communication and sitting around and having those conversations, honest conversations about what is and what's not.
mm. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. No, interesting. I'm actually going to. Are you familiar with Conqueron?
Yes, I'm familiar with Conquerant. I never took his dance classes when he was a dance place by Brooklyn. I think that's Brooklyn. Yeah. So, but
Okay.
I did, yeah, but I did have an opportunity that was last year, downtown in DC. I did a little project with him, um, and that's how I actually finally got to meet him. We spoke, and he was doing his presentation. I was doing my presentation at that time. So, but I've seen his work. I've seen most of his performances. He's a very driven brother.
Yes. So yeah, there's a conference. It starts tomorrow. Well, partially in Tacoma Park
Okay.
and at Howard University. There's a dance conference with several different dancers and drummers from all over. Mostly Western Africa, Senegal. I knew
Hmm.
they said Senegal and a few places. I recall the Congo.
Okay.
Where else? I don't know. Few other places, but I will be over there tomorrow in Tacoma Park. I have two drums, but one I need to get fixed. But I'm gonna do a dance class over there. One of
Right.
them at least. So yeah. So growing up, in South Africa, so you left there as a young adult, right?
Yes.
And so you were able to experience and observe the apartheid or the aftermaths of what was happening at that time. How would you say that affected you?
Hmm. So that's a very very good question, Haki. And so the effects of the apartheid, there's so many levels to it, you know. So I'll say the first one was the oppression, of course, the oppression. Even though myself growing up, it was after. I mean, I was born in 1976, and that was during I was born the year of the student uprising. When the student uprising in South Africa that took place, that was the ball change, that the game changer, because when you have the youth standing up together to want to change what is before them, change the system. Um, and of course, it took us until Mandela came to place in 1994 and the independence. Uh, but with that said, to answer your question, how did that affect? It affected me as a as a young black man, growing up knowing that I don't have the same resources as the next man, and knowing
Mm,
that I don't have the right education as the next man, knowing that I have to, I'm deprived of so many things that belong to me as well as an African, not only as a South African, but as an African. And then of course with that, there's so many things that then um, get there's challenges that come with it. And those challenges, they go from how do you then grow on to venture into what you want to be, whether what career you want to be in, because now your education is already limited. You are way behind. And then when it comes to your social skills, your social skills are limited because you're only allowed to be in certain places, not everywhere else. And then wherever
hmm
you go, you are looked at as, you're already an enemy. So which means there's people looking behind their back. Okay, we have this young black men around here. So there's a stereotype that comes with it. And so it challenges all those are factors, some of those factors that like come with it. And then of course there's a manipulation of power, where you strip off of your power, your dignity and your identity. Yes, you still identify as a black man, but you're not fully uh you don't have the full entitlement of who you are because your resources are limited in terms of what you can have. But
hmm
with that said, then when you look at it from inside outside and then you go outside, you ask yourself, what exactly is going on in my country, because we have all the resources. South Africa has most of the resources that they need, but because
Mm,
of that apartheid, that we didn't have any power and control, and then
mm,
everything was taken away from us. And then the unfortunate thing about it, when you talk about the other level of the effect, like when you have, and then uh, black man comes in and then takes over the power, and then you have now the autonomy to control the economy, and then what do you do? And then you become greedy, and then you just like now uh, think about yourself, looking and around and say, okay, how can I help the communities around me and empower everybody who's around me? Because we've all been here together. And now that we have the autonomy to control or to use the resources that we have, now it's each man for himself, and then you can fend for yourself. So the effect of it, of course, then it really affected myself. There was that one point where I saw most of my friends getting into wrong things, and like talking about drugs, robbery, or starting killing people, and starting doing all these things that were very negative because there was desperation. There's no hope. Okay, so I mean, I'm not gonna get a job. I'm not educated. Well, I don't want to go to school anymore. I mean, I'm too old to go back to school. I don't want to do that. So that whole thing, then it makes people lose interest in anything that is positive. Everything that is before you, you always look at it from you're so skeptical. Like, nah, I can't do that because I can't do this because this is what they did to me. So so the positive part of it for myself was that my dad being in the military, it helped a lot because he was exposed to the world outside. So he always was a driving force for us, myself and my siblings, that you gotta do well. You gotta do well by yourself. Regardless of what the world is like outside, it's all about you. What is it that you want to do yourself? So the when you ask about like how did that affect me, it might have been a blessing and a curse at the same time. So I look at it now that some of those challenges, of course, they made me to be who I am. And some of my peers that I grew up with, those that stuck with, the positive aspect of things, they are doing well for themselves. They are doctors, they are lawyers, they are doing really great. They've got businesses. And we actually have these conversations that, like, if we had stuck around in the same corner, smoking weed and carrying guns, where would we be now? We probably won't be
mm,
here. Probably be locked up for years. So the effect of the apartheid, of course, yes, it was from a political stance. There was a lot of like this, like it tainted a lot of us as black men and black women, in South Africa. And then the positive part of it is that when Mandela came out, that rainbow nation that he was always advocating for, there was that hope that I can still go to school. I can still achieve this. It's all about patience, and it's all about if I need it or I want it, and then again is how can I also achieve something outside of my own community. So that's when most of us like the art comes into play for me because I also started traveling during art when I was doing art. So found myself like in Europe and performing and collaborating with different individuals. And at the same time, when I was doing that, I was also creating those networks for myself because that was something that we wasn't able to do before, before Mandela came into power because, the only people was really traveling. There was people like Hugh Masegela, Miriam Makebas, people was going out on exile. And of course, you still had like other people was traveling, but the resources weren't there for us to like fly on the plane. Like for you, flying was like wow, it was like a privilege. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Um, but I always laugh. I'll tell my siblings that like I don't know how many times I've been on a plane, and like now for me it's like just calling Uber. Going from one place to the other. But it comes with how you look at things. My father always said, Brother Haki, if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at, they change.
Mm,
That stayed with me forever. Even when my dad passed away, it always has been something that has stayed in my mind, that everything, even if no matter how challenging it is, I change the way how I look at it. So it gives me a different perspective. So when I'm approaching it from a different conversation, different lens, and a different conversation.
hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful indeed, indeed. So, and that's the important thing. I think now that are here in the United States, I mean, that's very significant that you worked, in three continents.
Mm,
So you bring a very unique perspective for someone like myself and the Gullah Geechee Nation, uh, who will be present in Kenya as
mm,
well, to really have that global perspective, because many, uh, I'd say, Black people here in America, we don't necessarily know the role outside of the readers like myself and people that really try to get alternative news, but many don't understand the role of how Europe colonialized Africa. And that was actually a book by Walter Rodney, who wrote How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And he was actually a professor at the University of Dar es Salaam. But, it takes, like some, you have to be in some unique circles to hear about, the works of London, the East Indian Company,
mm,
et cetera, et cetera, and even knowing the role of apartheid, for instance, and how many European and even American companies supported it for a quite a significant time.
mm,
So, societies and institutions do not change unless there's like these movements, and when the masses of people, or there's a segment of the population that recognize uh, a injustice, that's when, like you said earlier, moving people to act.
mm,
And you mentioned, oh man, you made an interesting point about music and sort of like activism, paraphrasing, but how I was watching something, and they were talking about people that sing and attempting to have like a dance with it.
mm,
I mean, because we're the Teaching Artists Institute, so it's like, okay, how do we, for instance, teach African artists? Like, I mean, because we have our Americanized perceptions, for instance, of what an artist is supposed to do. I'm speaking in general, not like, because we, people like myself and the teaching artists, we're still, trying to synergize the global African
right.
presence into a movement. But it's like, okay, how are we going? I mean, and I feel like we've done what we thought we supposed to do,
Mm-hmm,
even with the Tanzanians,
mm,
and assisting them to, you know, grow, both in different ways, grow their art and seek different, bigger audiences, different
right.
types of audiences, and to expand, of course, in Tanzania, but also throughout. But so, how would you say, in terms of some of the younger artists that are coming up, what,
Mm-hmm,
and I ain't gonna hold you up too long. We'll do something like this again. But
yeah.
what would be the thing that you would say to the dancers, the drummers, or uh, traditional artists in this society, what would you say their role is?
So you mean their role as in like within society?
Well, yes. I'll keep it with that for now. Right.
Mhm. Right. Um, that's a very good question. And I'll reference that to George Floyd, you know, incident. You know, even though there was no drums, but there was a voice, and that voice was the music. And we had a lot of artists that were within that crowd. And I'm not talking about the John Legends, the Beyonce, Jay-Z. It was those artists that are never recognized, every day, of the week, of the month. They were there. They were the ones who were singing, who was dancing, 24/7. And that role was that their voice was being heard, not verbally, but physically. So the role of an artist, like, and I always say this, art is a very challenging career. If anybody says they want to be an artist, you already sign your life away because you know it's going to come with a lot of challenges because not every country has got a minister uh, of art. There's no minister of art and culture. Not every country has got that, unless if you live in a country like in France where they allocate this amount of money for artists. You know, you have artists dancing in the streets. They're getting paid by the art culture in France. In America, it's a different ball game. You have to like resort on donations, grants, and then those grants, like they're only looking for big companies. The New York City Ballet, or if you're Philadelphia, you have to be recognized. And but to go back to your question, what's their role? Their role is to be the voice of the nation because every country in this earth is recognized and um, is grounded because of the culture. And what is that culture? The culture is the dance, the music, the designs, and that's what makes countries to be who they are. And then you have tourism. When you go for tourism, what do you see when you go, like when you're touring? You get people basking, dancing in their traditional attires, drums, and all that stuff, because that's the culture. That's what uh, resembles that particular country. Or you have different tribes; they've got their own rituals. You talk about the native Indians. You talk about the Polynesians. You go to Hawaii. Like every every tribe, every race, they've got something that is significant about them. So now if we can get to a space where those voices are recognized by people um, appreciating that voice, appreciating movement, appreciating the and preserving that art and preserving that culture, then we know that we are getting somewhere. So I'm saying this to say that every artist who's growing up now, whether you are a graphic graffiti, a drama, djembe player, a, a, a dancer, a choreographer, a lighting designer, or you can name it, be consistent. Stay with what, stay with it. And then because it's so easy now with where we are now, things can be so fluid and then you lose track and then you start like no let me you doubt your talents and your skills like because you feel like what you're doing is not beneficial but it is you just have to not just because if I say just it takes away um the quality of the statement. Believe in yourself because the door is going to open. Once that door opens, there's people who are listening, or there's people who have been listening, but they've not been able to access or see you or do what you're doing. And remember that you are the voice, that voice that changes the world. We saw that with George Floyd. We saw that in Morocco when there was uprising. We saw that in in Ukraine now. We see that in France. We saw that in London, with the Brexit. We see it now. We hear with the whole thing with the elections with Trump. We've seen it in South Africa. We've seen it in Zimbabwe, Mozambique. You can name all the countries that have actually used the voices of individuals who are within the community. And it's not about using those celebrities and all that stuff. We're talking about people who make the uh, the culture to be what it is. So once again, stay on it, believe in yourself, and if you start believing in yourself, you know, um, everything is possible. And there was a quote. I'm reminded because I see like you've got Les Brown behind you. Um, there is something that Les Brown says, but I can't remember it right now because if I say it, then I'll do it injustice. So next time when I come back, I'll remember it and I'll say it. Yes. So
Okay.
right. Um, but it's very imperative, Brother Haki, that especially for us as within the Black community, to embrace, embrace, and I'll keep saying embrace what we are and who we are, and knowing where we're coming from and where we are now and where we want to go, because again, uh, there is a lot, like you say, the space that we are in now. Everything seems so very it's so it's clouded. It's clouded. It's easy for people to lose
Mm.
track, you know, and then
Yes.
it strips away the that dignity that we have. And then we see what is happening with our sisters, when it comes to this Instagram, you know, and then
Mm.
take away, it really takes away that beauty that is the Black woman, who is a Black woman. And then what
Mm.
is that queen that we embrace, and then once you start, you know, stripping away that quality that you are, and then everything else is becomes so, you know, just like clouds, just floating
Right.
away.
Right. Right.
And but if the way how you talk, the way how you dress, it doesn't matter how you dress, but it's more about like your confidence, how confident you are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and then for us as Black brothers, I always call I, every individual that I see, I call them a Black man, and I say like, yo, Black man, And now, of course, I'll find out your name, but I'll say Black man because to remind you again that you are a Black man, you are the anchor of your household, and when you have the queens calling us kings, and then kings calling the queens, you know, that resonates like so much beauty,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
it makes you uh, love the person that you are, love the people that are around you, and at the same time, not taking away from the other people that are around us. We embrace other communities. So the beauty of it is to continue to embrace uh, who we are and appreciate the art that we are in, because art makes us, and then and life imitates art, and so that's the beauty of where we are as people. And again, like I really thank you for I didn't know that you was gonna put me in a spotlight and be in an interview. So but you know, like I stay ready, if you stay
Yeah.
prepared, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
indeed.
yeah,
Right, right, right. So yeah, man. So I appreciate it, and just wanted to get you on for a couple minutes, and we'll
thank
do some more and more. But I wanted to put out for the listening audience, definitely consider contributing, supporting this brother's work. He's available, for dance instruction and speaking, as well as healing work, of course. So just reach out to him. You got a email or website or
you. So I have an email. I think I the one that I sent on your when I sent you the
okay,
bio. Yeah, that's the one that I have.
okay. Or I mean, do you let people? You have a phone number? Hold on
Yeah, I
now.
have the phone number. Yes, 202 377
Hold on.
9033
202.
377
Uh-huh.
9035.
Okay. I'll put this on there first.
Yes, sir. And then my email
All
address is Natty, NATTYIRE @gmail.com. Natty
right.
Ire
Okay, I see that.
gmail.com.
All right, let me find that. Yeah. ATTY IRE
Yes,
at
sir. Gmail.
Gmail. Okay. All right. So everybody got those. Definitely be a supporter. Follow the brother. You on social media as well?
Yes, so I have so I don't stay much on social media, so
It's
which I
okay.
know it's because I like, unfortunate at this time of age.
Well,
But I do have a I can't even remember my Instagram. So I have an Instagram, but I can't remember what it's called. So but
that's okay. That's
but
okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. But definitely, brother Nati is on IG, and definitely can check them out, and hopefully we can work this out and get you into Kenya so we can talk to some young people and some adults and the Gullah Geechee members and the Turtle Island
Right.
participants who will be joining us. Hopefully, get Sister Jennifer and some cadre in. But she's going to reach out to you anyway. She wanted to,
Okay.
talk to you as well. So, but she's going to be traveling. But we'll work it out, brother. So, thank you, and and greetings to your young. You got a young son, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, my
know
son
it's
is
late night. You gotta
yeah,
get him to
my
sleep and everything. So I'll let you go ahead, brother. Thank you for joining me, brother. We'll be in touch.
I appreciate Brother Hakeem. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thanks,
All right.
Asante Sana. Peace and blessings, everybody. All
Peace.
right. Till next
Bye.
week, everybody. Till soon. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace. Have a good evening. Peace and blessings.